Hey, it's Kyle here, and today I'll be reviewing Snow Crash by Neal Stephenson. This is a sci-fi book set sometime in the 21st century. The exact timeline is not completely clear, and its reality is somewhat similar to ours, but has diverged dramatically in the past few decades. So we're still on Earth. A lot of things about our culture that we recognize still exist, but in dramatically different ways. The basic, I guess, setup to this world is at some point in the past, for not really a specified reason, basically the worldwide economy collapsed, and it caused governments around the world to collapse, mainly because of inflation. Basically, money became useless, and the government no longer had the funding to provide basically any services and operate in reality. We kind of get the impression this happened in the entire world, but we really are getting a look at this more through the characters who are in the United States. So we get a close examination of what's happened to the United States. Basically, this reality, the United States still exists. There still is a government, but it has basically zero authority and power. And instead, they basically have ceded all power, authority, rights to private corporations. And basically everything operates as a corporation now. Everything from organized crime, so one of the big companies we meet is actually the mafia. Religion now operates as a kind of a corporation. Even quasi-nation states who basically buy up land in other countries and kind of operate basically like franchises. In fact, all these are kind of described as franchises throughout the book. So everything kind of operates in this model where there's no government authority anymore. All these various groups have their own little segments of society that they control and dominate, and it's just their reality. It's a very interesting setup. I really enjoyed the world building of it. I'm a big nerd for that type of stuff. I love a sci-fi book that sets up a very interesting reality. A lot of times these types of books will annoy me when they don't get into like why these changes or reality exist. But the way this book sets it up, it gives you enough info where like somebody like me is satisfied. And like, all right, these changes in society make sense. Even though I wouldn't mind learning more, I feel like I have enough logic behind why these changes existed that I buy into this world and I'm satisfied. For people that really don't like a lot of background into like why this reality came about, I think this will also make them happy as well, because it's not really going into full details of, like, for example, how the United States government collapsed exactly. It's just enough like, hey, bad economic stuff, huge inflation, money basically becomes worthless, government collapses. Enough info for everybody. Our main character is hero protagonist, which is an amazing name. I love that as the main character's name. And really, in reality, there's probably a second main character. So it depends if you consider two main characters as or a main and slightly beneath the main character. And that other character is YT. So hero protagonist is this brilliant hacker who's kind of lost his motivation. And it's kind of described this as a common thing in this reality because there's really not much people can do to really better their life. They're just kind of stuck in this horrible situation. Everybody just kind of accepts it. And so even though he's this brilliant hacker, he's just kind of floating through life. It becomes very clear that he doesn't really have a goal or something he wants to pursue. He's just kind of doing things to kind of keep him occupied, keep his brain busy, and then once he gets tired of that or something bad happens, he just kind of changes tack and quickly moves on to the next thing he kind of wants to tackle. Very interesting character. Really loved him. His inner monologues are amazing. What his motivation throughout the book and how it changes how the events of the book impact him, I really enjoyed a lot. Also, in some ways I think I even loved the other character even more. YT is an amazing character. She is a 15-year-old teenage girl who's already working, and it becomes clear in this reality that basically probably people have to grow up a lot quicker and basically become adults at a younger age just because the way the world is like. And she just knows what she wants and she goes after it. She's extremely smart, very talented. Same time at her age, she's slightly naive, and you see that a few times that comes across. But she quickly learns from her naivety and corrects it. And, it's very interesting again to see that character dynamic. Her and YT and Hero's interactions are amazing. I love that. Hero quickly pegs her as like, here's somebody that has some talent. She, maybe somebody like me who has some special skills. And YT has this personality where she's just going to constantly kind of give Hero smart aleck remarks, not let him know like, hey, you're not going to be able to push me around and fool me. I know what's going on too. Their dynamics are really, really cool. And to me, that's the strongest part of this book, is these two main characters. Every point where they're the action is happening to them and we're getting them to react through their inner monologues or interaction with other characters. Absolutely love this. The basic plot, which I'm not going to get super detailed into it, is Hero, through one of his former hacker friends, finds out there is this something mysterious going on called snow crash, which is, the book goes along, we basically learn is a virus that can basically infect the human brain and change it and basically make the person to be able to control it. So basically it's a computer virus that can infect a human when they see certain imagery flashed on a screen. So it's basically somebody's learned how to hack the human brain. And my idea is, once somebody's hacked the brain, they can control these people. So for example, if somebody wants to basically become like a worldwide dictator and have complete power, they could use this virus to basically dominate the world. So throughout the book, Hero is trying to learn more about this plot, who's behind it, how they can stop it. YT becomes this helper, and he kind of sends her on side missions to try to find more information or secure technology that maybe will help them fight back against this virus. Both Hero and YT have connections to the mob, and the mob gets involved in the story in a very interesting way. There's a character, Uncle Enzo, which actually I love. I kind of wish Uncle Enzo was in the book more. I love him. He might be my favorite secondary character in the book. And of course, being a book, there has to be a villain. There's a couple of villains. The really cool one is Raven, who's this big, almost like, he's a human, but he's almost like the Terminator-like creature of this book. This unstoppable force who is a great fighter, basically can beat anybody. He basically has some weapons in his possession that makes it impossible to actually try to defeat him, which is very interesting as we learn more about that. And his motivation about why he's doing what he is very interesting, and basically makes you understand completely why he's doing what he's doing, even though you completely disagree with him. I won't get into the other villains' arcs, I don't want to spoil too much of that plot. The one part of this book I'll say that I didn't really enjoy a whole lot is, throughout the book we get elements where, as Hero is doing research, he kind of learns more about the history of religion and philosophy, and how this kind of virus maybe actually has roots in humanity's ancient history. And this part is interesting, and when we get into this element of this book, basically the author goes into like several pages of kind of explaining this. I understand why it's happening, because you want the readers to understand what is the background of this virus, but at the same time I felt like he could have accomplished the same amount with maybe about half the amount of info, because as I was reading it, I'd go through like, really, there's another page, oh, there's 2 more pages of this, what, so it's kind of like going back to my compliment about the world building, where the author didn't become too bogged down into details. I think on this side, behind the philosophy and historical background of this virus, I felt like at a few points he got too bogged down into the weeds for the details of that. That's what I really only complain about this. And I kind of wish some of those pages he had dedicated to that background, instead we would have gotten more exploration of these 2 amazing characters that I loved a lot, Hero and YT. Maybe even some more of the secondary characters I liked a lot, like Uncle Enzo. I'll also say the ending of the book, it's very sudden when you're reading it. I kind of lost track of what page I was on, and I just flipped to the last page. And the plot had kind of wrapped up, but it's one of those things I expected a few more pages to kind of wrap up all the loose ends, and that doesn't really happen. I don't really have a complaint about it. It just kind of caught me off guard. It's not the way I'm used to having books end. Overall, I really enjoyed this book a lot. Is it my favorite sci-fi book I've read this year? No. But I still really loved it. After I finished it, I've been thinking about the plot a lot. It's definitely a sci-fi book I would certainly recommend to other people who are really into reading sci-fi. If you're not into sci-fi, I'm not sure if this is a book you'll really enjoy. But in the comment section below, let me know, have you read Snow Crash before, and what do you think? I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate the support. Thanks for watching. I'll see you the next time, and happy reading.